And welcome back to part 14 of What If Naruto Had a Sister? So let's just recap real quick where we left off. Naruto, Naruto, and Killer Bee are on the island, the Turtle Island. I can't remember the name of it, but the turtle that is an island. Naruto got access to Kurama's, the chakra form. So they're there. Sasuke got released by the Cloud and is now fighting in the war. Everyone else who is a member of the Leaf is where they are and a member of the Ninja Alliance. Orochimaru and Kabuto are basically where Kabuto was in the original, creating and looking after the Edo Tensei army. Kabuto's kind of acting like the bodyguard for Orochimaru at that point. Kisame went back with the went back to the think words here. Went back after getting out of the Cloud, knowing that okay, I need to get out of here, and go back to Obito, the gang, whatever, to fight in the war. Now, I'm pretty certain that Zabuza and Haku are dead for this. So, we catch up now to the actual Shinobi War starting to go down. And one of the things was, that the, oh wow, I just blanked on what I was talking about. One of the things is that we have to deal with when is Naruto and Naruto going to be leaving the island. One of the other things is Kasame's around. Now, there's a couple scenarios that play out differently here. Sai, for instance, doesn't have that whole rage out moment against Deidara and Sasori that he did originally. So I think eventually they will just get taken down. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be by Sasori. I think Kankuro and some other ninja will work together in tandem with that. Then there's the other big thing that I wanted to address, is that I think what we're going to get is the seven swordsmen of the mist fighting, Kakashi, the gang, and I think Sasuke would be Kakashi as well, with Kasame at the helm. He's leading the seven swordsmen plus Haku. And that becomes that becomes a lot more of a oh crap scenario for them, because Kasame is actually there with Samahata, so all seven swords are there. And their fight, frankly, goes down. Now, so there's a lot of struggling. Kakashi is trying to struggle against Zabuza, but Kasame is coming in right at Kakashi as well. However, Sasuke is there to keep him at bay. Unfortunately, I don't think Kasame would be... We don't know how Kasame really functions around Genjutsu. The closest one we have is when he got put into the Genjutsu to read his mind, and he actually bit his own tongue off to get out of the Genjutsu, which implies that one of the reasons he was with Itachi is probably he was one of the strongest members of Akatsuki, which, when we really break it down, yeah, he was one of the strongest. So it probably made sense to partner him with Itachi, because he probably had a strong resistance to Genjutsu, be it because of his chakra reserves, large amount of chakra reserves, or it's just straight willpower. Either way, he probably has a decent resistance to Genjutsu. There seems to be evidence to support that. So Kakashi tried to put him in a Genjutsu. That doesn't work. But Sasuke then, just decides to go full on, Mangekyo and Amaterasu. And because the nature of Amaterasu and what it implies, I wonder if that's a technique Samahata can't absorb. I mean, it's still chakra. It's just basically hellfire is what it is. So it burns hotter than the sun. So I'm wondering if that's too much for something like Samahata to absorb. And certainly, Kasame couldn't take that attack. We know even though he can absorb chakra, there's limits, and that we know Itachi was still considered the stronger of the two. So my gut reaction would be that Samahata would not want to take damage from Amaterasu. So when he activates it, Kasame is legitimately surprised, not realizing that he was going to do that. Maybe Obito just didn't get around to telling him that he could use that technique. So Samahata gets burned. I think Samahata can mitigate some of the damage it can still, but I don't think it can save itself. To which Kasame kind of grinds it into the ground to douse the flame. You can't put it out with water. You can't douse it naturally, but you can smother the flames. The flames still need oxygen to burn. That's actually, I think, how it got handled, if I'm not mistaken, with the Itachi Sasuke one. No, that's not what happened. I think they just burned themselves out is what happened. I'm trying to remember. I thought at some point we saw that the flames were taken care of that way. I don't know. Either way, there's still sound logic, I think, behind that. And if not, at least slows the flames down. So Sasuke and Kasame are duking it out respectively. He goes in for Chidori. So however, Kasame's like, yeah, not happening, kid. Then actually just does the water style, and just summons the giant dome. I think he wants to just take all these guys out quick. Merges with Samahada. What's left of Samahada? Samahada's damaged now, but he still is able to take the shark form. And he starts blitzing everyone. Sasuke, though, goes into Susanoo, although we know the chakra, their chakra was absorbed in that technique as well. Kasame merged with Samahada can just absorb chakra straight out now. And he has a technique that even does that too, a giant shark missile, basically. Can we just say that was a badass moment too? That badass fight with Guy and him near the end of that whole arc. Not near the end of the arc, but near the end of his story. So Kasame plus the Edo Tensei are causing a lot of freaking problems for the group. Eventually Sasuke just goes all out, breaks the dome. Kasame is struck and he's grabbed by something. He sees that there is a Susanoo right in front of him. A near full-fledged Susanoo. Not a perfect Susanoo as we see like with Madara and then later Sasuke, but in terms of what they were capable of creating, something akin to what Itachi was creating. It's like, yeah, it's like, you're not going. It's like, this is over. He's trying to crush him, but it's like, I gotta admit, kid, that was pretty crazy of you. I didn't think you'd be able to pull that move off. Unfortunately, that move's chakra, and chakra is what I'm all about. Needing absorbing chakra is what I'm all about. And then, Susanoo's disappearing. And, it's because it's just chakra, and he can absorb chakra, so there's nothing to say he can't do that. Honestly, that is an interesting little point. Even though Itachi's the stronger of the two, there's nothing to say Samahada couldn't just take a limb off of a Susanoo. It's just chakra, and that's what Samahada does. He's just absorbing Sasuke, trying to say, it's over, kid. It's over, kid. You're not gonna be sealing me away like the rest of these chumps. And we're gonna enjoy cleaving you down the size. And all of a sudden, he just feels like the warping, and Kakashi's activates Kamui. It's like we've had enough of this. It's time for you to go, Kasame. He's like, thank God he was getting. And Zabu's like, thank God he was getting so annoying. It's like, Kisame's trying to leave, but Sasuke's pumping chakra in the hand. So while he's absorbing the chakra, the hand is still there. So he's just trying to get rid of the hand, and he can't, which means he can't move. And this gives Kakashi the best opportunity to basically finally take him out of the equation. So now that Kisame's finally taken down, and they deal with the Edo Tenseis finally. What happens now? Well, hey, there are still white Zetsu in the mix here, but nowhere near the same amount as we got in the original, because there isn't Yamato isn't caught, so there's no method to continue the mass production of them to quicken their numbers. Still, there's a lot of them, I imagine, so they are able to still cause problems, especially being able to transform, disguise themselves. Ultimately, though, Naruto and Naruto and Killer Bee kind of, flee. Actually, not flee. They exit. Iruka tries to stop him as he did originally, but because they went willingly, because Killer Bee probably or they mentioned they have a method to train for the tail beast and stuff like that. But regardless, they leave. They go into the fight. Raikage tries to stop them, doesn't stop them. And then they go and do their thing. So Killer Bee, Naruto, and Naruto are kind of their own team. They meet up eventually with Nagato and Itachi. That whole thing goes the same. In fact, it goes better in their favor because Naruto is there. She's able to, use her own techniques. I will even argue she can get the adamantine chains. There you go. Some adamantine chains thrown out there. Help, what was that? What was the third technique? The range technique, the Magetadare? I can't remember. It began with M. But she uses that to block Naruto, because she figured that out after talking with Naruto about her dad, their parents, and things along those lines, and how her mom probably says, like, "You're just like your mom, sweetheart. So don't show any fear and show what Uzumaki girls can do." And, all that. And so she activates the adamantine chain, something Naruto won't get, which separates her more from Naruto, makes her a bit more of her own character. And so, Itachi goes to stop Orochimaru after the fact. I think Naruto decides to go with him. The reason for that is there's no Sasuke in this question. He's with Kakashi. So, he's going to stop Orochimaru. So, it's Itachi and Naruto going to confront Kabuto and Orochimaru. And, Itachi's there. Naruto's there, and Orochimaru's just standing and saying, "Welcome, Itachi. Oh, and there's Naruto. I've been so missing seeing you. Missing out on this. I look forward. I've been looking forward to meeting up with you again." And as I cut the crap, and then all of a sudden, Naruto, who's got Sage Mode up, I do think actually, even though she's got the snake summoning contract, it'd be fun to have her have the Toad Sage Mode as a weird dichotomy. So she's a weird amalgamation of techniques, Naruto. But she just has her Sage Mode up, and she actually just grabs Kabuto right out of where he's hiding. It's like, yeah, and what was he about to do? And it's like, oh, you were able to find him, and then he sees her as, so you were able to master it after all. This Sage Mode, no, but that's not right. Is it? It's not the Sage Mode I wanted. No, I wanted the true power of nature. You only have the mode the toads offer. It's like, and Kabuto's like, I see, indeed. Looks like and he just melts like Kabuto comes out of the shadows. Indeed, for her to be able to pick me out of the dark like that, I barely had time to substitute. Indeed, she has become quite dangerous. I wonder how dangerous Naruto has become. And my precious Sasuke. And, they ask, what were you getting working with these guys? Oh, when the war's done, I'll have Sasuke's body all to myself. And Naruto just that's a bit sus. It's like, yeah. It's like, jokes aside. It's like, I looked forward to this. And, if you really think I don't know how to, I could easily just end this right now, Itachi. But all I have to do is take that little kunai out of your. All I have to do is undo the jutsu. Yeah, but if you undo the jutsu, you undo all the jutsu, don't you, Orochimaru? And then you have to redo it all over again. The amount of chakra even for you must be staggering. You always were a clever one, Itachi. That's why I wanted you before your brother. But this will have to do. This scenario will have to do. My voice is a little cracky. I'm getting over a cold. I'm a lot better now. But it actually kind of lets me do that Orochimaru voice a bit better. It's like, yes, Itachi. And because I get that, you can hear that in my voice, but it kind of works for Orochimaru's voice. But anyway, and so they, Naruto's taking on Kabuto while trying to help out every now and then with a chakra chain for Orochimaru, and Itachi's taking on Orochimaru. So they're going back and forth. Unfortunately, Kabuto at this point is now actually outclassed by Naruto. She does a Shadow Clone Senbon Jutsu, or Senbon Shadow Clone Jutsu, and one does manage to hit. It's like, you even managed to hit a pressure point, but you're going to have to do better than that. And, their fight continues, and he's starting to feel sluggish, like he's just losing energy. He's like, what's going, and he realizes, wait, you're saying, he's like, that's right, you really think I didn't learn anything from Mako-sensei? Or you? My kunai are laced with a neurotoxin. That whole arm of yours probably is numb by now, isn't it? And he realized, yeah, I can kind of, because you ever, fall asleep on your arm, and you can still kind of move it, but it's just so stiff. That's what's going on with him, just minus the cold feeling from, lack of blood flow. So, he's just and then she comes in again with shadow clones and binds them with a snake, hidden shadow or striking shadow snake, and then just finally Rasengan's them down into the ground. Meanwhile, Orochimaru and Itachi are pretty much tied. Orochimaru's got more than enough to keep up with Itachi, but Itachi being immortal and still being Itachi makes it very difficult. Ultimately, though, he skewers him with the grass longsword, and Itachi can't. It was like, now I have you. It's a shame, isn't it, Itachi, that you weren't able to save your brother. What will happen when I turn him back on you? Now, you may be wondering, because I didn't bring it up, because we know how Itachi got out of the Genjutsu. It's because he placed that Genjutsu in Naruto. Well, he probably did that here too. Granted, Naruto had a way to get out of the Genjutsu, and he was doing it, but he still probably did that. Remember, he said, I can cast Genjutsu even with his finger. We don't know how he actually did it. We just know he did it. So that's how he ultimately got out of here. And, Itachi's like, ugh. All of a sudden, Orochimaru is grabbed and just, Naruto, wait your turn. Wait your turn. Well, just one moment. Wait your turn. I'll be with you. And all we realize is that these aren't chakra wires. These are chakra chains. Even though he's been seeing them the whole time, he didn't actually register it because he was focusing more on Itachi as the threat. He's like, these are chakra chains. I can't break these. And then all of a sudden he gets pulled in, and he's about to just use a technique to get at her, but he also feels himself numbing up. It's like, what? And he realizes that when she grabbed him with the chakra chain, she also threw a couple neurotoxin-laced senbon at him, because she would have been focused on the chains grabbing him, not the senbon. And senbon don't hurt that much. I mean, they're big needles, admittedly, but they don't hurt that much. So compared to like a kunai or anything else grabbing it. So he didn't notice them at the time. So he realizes he's going numb and he can't focus to make a hand sign or anything. And he suddenly sees a shadow clone next to her. And the Hydra Sengon is basically developed as the Whirlpool Sengon, the orb with the Whirlpool around it. And she just blasts him straight into the wall. And he barely is like, you, how dare you? How dare you? And he's just trying to, like, it's over, Orochimaru. You will give me what I want. And because he doesn't have Senjutsu, ultimately, he's able to undo the Genjutsus, the Edo Tensei, through Genjutsu. And he's, go help my brother and your brother, Naruto. But obviously, during this entire time, Madara was resurrected. So now Madara, a lot of this now goes the same, where Naruto's helping the battlefield, all that. There might be someone here. I may have to redo this video. We'll find out. I don't think there is right now. Oh, nope. Anything pop up? Anywho. Hello, honey. I'm doing a video. Sorry, my girlfriend just walked in. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to restart the video. Anyway, so yeah, Madara is resurrected. So all that is actually going down pretty much to pat. And really, yeah, a lot of this actually goes the same up until Guy and Kakashi show up to help Naruto and Killer Bee out, because Sasuke would be with him, and now they're able to kind of tag team Obito, and to help, take him on easier. Unfortunately, yeah, Sasuke doesn't have Itachi's eyes in this version, so he only has the Mangekyo, so he is suffering from chakra exhaustion and pain in his eyes. And actually, this really poses a problem. Now, granted, I don't think Obito's going to be able to do as well in this version, because Naruto eventually shows up to the battlefield. They're all basically, tag teaming him, multi-person on one, taking him on. So I don't know if he'll be able to take on his sixth pass form. But even if he does, I think the combined efforts of Naruto and Sasuke, despite not having a perfect Mangekyo, or eternal Mangekyo, I should say, will allow them to ultimately overcome him. But I think they're going to be in a lot worse of a scrape. Add on to the fact that the Hokages don't get resurrected in this version, which is actually very bad for this scenario, because the first was basically stalling out Madara, admittedly. Tobirama, Minato, the Flying Thunder God technique was kind of paramount in helping them out a bit. And the third was, very helpful in what he was doing too. So, yeah, the Hokages not being resurrected is not good. And the fact that Black Zetsu shows up, I mean, no joke, honestly. I don't want to blame Naruto's sister, having a sister, for this, because now I'm just trying to figure out, is there any logical way they actually win this scenario? So Obito would still get beaten. I do think that still happens. The Tail Beasts get released. Madara, though, resurrects himself, takes one of the eyes. I think Naruto and the gang are in serious trouble, unfortunately. So I guess the ultimate question for this scenario becomes: is there any way for Naruto and Sasuke to still access their six paths abilities? Is there a point where Hageromo comes, talks to them, gives them their amps, and they're able to go toe to toe with Madara? Oh, I'm sure there is a circumstance. I'm trying to think. I mean, really, what was the circumstance that was the reason prior? They were near death. Really, as long as they're near death but not dead, I guess then that could still happen. In theory, that's more than that. They're more than capable. That's more than capable of still happening. Which means then you would go into the whole Kaguya resurrecting, the eternal Tsukiyomi. I'm sure Naruto gets to stay around for the whole Susanoo shielding. Admittedly, it's not a perfect Susanoo because that's the other question. Would a regular Susanoo be able to protect him? I'll say yes because Sasuke would get the Rinnegan at this point, or Rin Sharingan. I always like Sharingan better, just sounds better. So yes. Although now we're at the point in the story where if someone wants to have a contentious argument about why that doesn't work, I'm actually not gonna argue the point because I'm like, yeah, I'll admit I'm kind of reaching right now to be like, is there any justifiable reason they can still win? Admittedly, yes. I think there is justifiable. It's just, I can also see the other side of the coin in the argument. Either way, so that means you would still get their entire fight. The only difference here is that you don't really get Sasuke and Naruto fighting at the Valley End and completely wrecking that place to the ground. Which means they keep their arms. So I guess the question is, are there any loose ends that need to be tied up in this scenario? Danzo's dead. Orochimaru and Kabuto, I think, are pretty much left to their own device. They weren't killed, but they were just like, okay, Genjutsu. Although Kabuto eventually did get out of the Genjutsu. Makes sense Orochimaru probably would too. And Kabuto might actually be dead, now that I say it, because Naruto did land a pretty serious blow on him. Otherwise, I mean, the Zetsus are taken care of at this point. All of our Akatsuki are dead at this point. I guess the only last bit is to talk about like the post future. Now, again, if anyone wants to argue that might not go the way I'm describing, you're right. Because I'm like, I don't want it to seem like Naruto having sister would be like the end apocalyptic results of the series, because I'm like, oh god, of all the long-term series to end on a bad note, I don't think I want it to be this one just because of the title. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a two-way. Let's put it this way: there's a branch ending here. This is something I wouldn't normally do, but realizing how it could go and play out, there is a branch ending we can kind of go off here. So there is the ending that we're dealing with right now where they do, in fact, win. Now, who ends up with who at the end? Well, Naruto still ends up with Hinata. I don't think anyone's going to doubt that. Sasuke, I was tempted for a while to pair up with Naruto, because I do think I was kind of implying that could be a route. But ultimately, I think Sakura and Sasuke still makes the most sense. So I guess the only other question is, who does Naruto end up with? Hell, maybe Naruto's gay. Maybe she's with Tenten. You don't know. I could have. She's a completely original character, and we don't know Tenten's sexuality. We could have done that. I'm saying that right now. I kind of feel like doing that almost, but I'm not going to. Not branch ending. She's gay. She's with Tenten. Woo! But in terms of any of our other casts, I actually like the idea for being with Shino. I think that the fact they knew each other for a while and she grew to really like him, like just the fact that he was different and she didn't judge him. I liked her. I like the idea with her with Shino. So they have a little kid who is a Uzumaki Aburame, which is a horrifying concept when you realize how the Aburame work. Because we just give them our chakra and they make insects and all that. It's great. So you have someone with an Uzumaki chakra reserve. I'm like, oh, that's horrifying. But I digress. So all's well that ends well, happily ever at until Boruto or other shit goes down, and I don't do Boruto because I don't like Boruto that much. However, in the branch ending where things don't go well, the fact that the Hokages were there really aided them quite a bit. Without that, and the fact that even though Sasuke, they maybe are able to beat Obito in this version, Sasuke doesn't have an eternal Mangekyo, which means his stamina and chakra and eyesight are leagues below where he actually was at that point. There's a legitimate chance here that Madara just wins, which means Kaguya wins. And yeah, I mean, even if one of them is able to get the their Hagoromo upgrade, I'd imagine it might be in this case Naruto. Actually, it'd probably be Naruto, because that lack of eternal probably hinders that to some degree. Um, Even if one of them has it, they both don't have it. So yeah, ultimately, and let's even bypass even further. Let's say that Sasuke and Naruto both get their upgrades. I don't think his standard Susanoo would be enough to be able to, protect him from the Eternal Mangekyo or the Eternal Infinite Tsukuyomi. So they all wind up in that. Maybe you can make an argument that Kurama, being a tail beast and being able to help break Genjutsu, could maybe break Naruto out of that. And by extension, maybe he could break someone else out of that. But if he could, then why didn't he do it? Which implies he can't. But even if he can't beat Kaguya on his own. He just can't do that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but this actually has a two-way street. There is the ending, which, happily ever after, and there's the bleak ending where Kaguya wins, and everyone is now just part of a giant, giant parasite tree and turned into white Zetsus eventually. Very, very disturbing ending. So there's your two-part ending to What If Naruto Had a Sister? The good and the, oh dear lord. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be starting a new What If next week. It'll be the final new Naruto What If, leading up to the next version of What If Naruto has Zanpakuto. So after we get done with the next one, or leading up into the next one, I'll be doing another poll about which Zanpakuto you want to see for that particular video. Until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I will see you folks for the next one, and have a good day.